Welcome back to the Takeout. Democrats in Congress are seeking oversight of the war in Iran. One of those is Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth, who pushed for yesterday's War Powers Resolution vote, which failed mostly along party lines. Earlier, I spoke with her about that and more. I want to start off first with the Senate Armed Services because I understand that they held a closed-door briefing today on Operation Epic Fury. As a member of that committee, can you share any details about what you learned?
No, unfortunately, we can't because and by the way, this is a tactic that the Trump administration has been using in that they are keeping all of these briefings justifying why he launched this war of choice under a classification of secret or top secret so that we can't talk to the American people about it, even though so much of the details are already out in the public realm. I can tell you that he's being enabled by my Republican colleagues and the chairman of the committee, who has basically said that he's not going to hold open hearings because the American people would not be happy if they heard the justifications, because, basically there is none.
In terms of more of looking for an off-ramp here, do you believe that the Trump administration is now moving towards a deal with Iran?
Well, look, I would love there to be peace. I want this war to end. For the sake of our troops and national security and the global economy, I hope that any peace talks, if they happen, are fruitful, because frankly, Donald Trump needs all the help he can get. But bottom line, some of the end state that he's talked about, like an open Strait of Hormuz, well, that's where we were before he launched his war of choice. The Strait of Hormuz were open. And by the way, Iran wasn't charging ships $1 million a ship to continue to navigate the Straits of Hormuz. So what exactly is the end state here after 13 American servicemen and women's lives and hundreds of Americans injured, and now billions of American dollars spent? An end state that is worse than where it was before he launched his war of choice. This is an unnecessary, it's an incoherent war that Trump cannot articulate a justification for. And it's put thousands of Americans in danger and sent costs through the roofs here at home. So I would love to know what the end state is. What is he negotiating towards? Because so far, it's worse than where we were before he launched the war of choice.
Particularly as we're seeing another deployment of troops, what are your chief concerns?
My chief concerns is Mr. America First, the man who got into office by saying that he would never get America into another forever war, has actually launched a forever war because he's already put Marines on ships headed towards the Middle East. He is now calling up whole units, and he doesn't know what the end state is. If Mr. Hegseth had paid any attention in the officer basic course when he was a young lieutenant, he'd know that every operations order ends with the end state. You know what the end state should be, and yet we have a war here where they don't know what the end state is. This is a disaster. I mean, that's why I'm pushing for war powers resolutions that will bring an end to this conflict before it costs any more lives and any more suffering. And by forcing the Trump administration to come to Congress and tell us, why is it you launched this war? Why is it? What is the end state? What are you aiming for? And the American people deserve to hear this, not in secret briefings where Americans can't hear about it, but in open public hearings so that we know exactly what they're doing here.
I know we've seen a number of recent votes, both in the House and Senate, on war powers. Most recently in the Senate, we understand House Democrats are now lining up their own vote potentially sometime next month. But why move forward with these efforts if these votes keep failing? Is it just simply symbolic at this point?
This is us using every tool we have legislatively to force the Trump administration to come and present to the American people, why is it we're at war with Iran? Why did they launch this war? And also, what are their next steps? And what exactly is the off-ramp? What is the end stage that they're working towards? I think the American people deserve to know that. And the Constitution is very clear. Only Congress has the power to declare war. So they need to come to us. And that's what these war powers resolutions are doing is, again, over and over again, we're using the tools of the Senate to stop anything from happening until we get an answer for the American people.
I want to switch gears for a second to the partial government shutdown. We have seen several offers go back and forth between Democrats, Republicans, and the White House. Why hasn't there been any agreement?
Well, I think we're closer to an agreement now than we were before, but we still have to work out the details. Democrats have been very clear what we want. Basically, three main buckets. Number one, ICE cannot be wearing a mask, and ICE should be wearing body cameras. Number two, ICE cannot come onto private property without a judicial warrant. Republicans really resisted this. They wanted ICE to just be able to issue itself these administrative warrants that was never issued by a judge to come onto private property. Well, you know what? That goes against our Constitution. No illegal search and seizure. And then the third bucket that Democrats want is to make sure that when there is ICE involved, violence against Americans, against people, that ICE is not the only agency that is investigating that local law enforcement can help investigate that. We saw that in Illinois, where ICE shot a young woman on the streets of our cities 5 times and then refused to let local law enforcement investigate the shooting that happened on the streets of Chicago by an ICE agent. And so those are our three main buckets. And where we are right now is the Republicans, actually, their latest offer basically comes back to what we had been asking for all along before they shut government down. Now we just want to make sure that we work out the details. So for example, what am I wanting now? I just want to make sure that in whatever agreement, we write out specifically that when ICE wears those body cameras and when we give money to ICE for body cameras, that they must turn them on and keep them on. Because in Chicago, we saw that one of the agents actually turned his body camera off so that there would be no evidence of his wrongdoing. So right now it's in about the details and making sure that if we're going to give ICE money for body cameras, that money can't be used for something else.
And just a quick yes or no here. Will you stay in town next week if DHS is not funded?
I don't have an answer to that right now because I'm still looking to see what the negotiations and where things are playing out. But I'm happy to be here to do my job and vote any day of the week if they're going to put a vote on the floor.
All right. Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.